What's going on, everybody? C4 here, and welcome back to the Madden 20 Ratings Prediction Series, where today we are moving on to the Minnesota Vikings, a team that, failed to meet expectations last season. That's probably the best way to put it, but they do have lots of talent, and how it relates to Madden 20, I guess, ultimately boils down to how far do you think you could take Kirk Cousins as your quarterback, because there's a lot of money locked up into him in terms of a contract, so that's kind of difficult. But if you're a Vikings fan, I think they're going to have a very solid roster in Madden 20, as where they stand for a rebuild, probably middle of the park. Looking at their roster, though, and my predictions for how the roster could shape up in Madden 20. First up, we have Kirk Cousins, so we're going to give an 83 overall. Last season, statistically speaking, wasn't bad. 4,300 yards, 30 touchdowns, 10 picks. It's more so the actual on-field product. Kirk Cousins was not clutch. He did not come in and play really well when they needed it to, but overall his stats are fine. I feel like he's always going to be a low 80s type quarterback. That is his ceiling. The rest of that, you can get some all right QBs there, but ultimately it is going to be Kirk Cousins. And the big talking point about using the Vikings as a franchise in Madden 20 will be, as I stated, Kirk Cousins' very big contract. Moving to the backfield, no more Latavius Murray, so we have Dalvin Cook, who we're going to give an 81 overall. Last season, 900 yards from scrimmage, 4 total touchdowns. Needs to stay on the field. He's a guy that has a lot of potential, but he has missed a couple games over the last couple years. And now with no more immediate cover, there's no more Latavius Murray there. He went on to the Saints. I mean, they're going to need Dalvin Cook to play like that highly regarded running back out of Florida State like he was. So I feel like 81's a good starting point for Dalvin Cook. And as he, halfway through, like as the roster updates come in Madden 20, probably, if he stays on the field, is going to go up. Looking at the wide receivers, we have Adam Thielen, who we're going to give a 92 overall. Last season, 113 receptions, 1,400 yards, 9 total touchdowns. In my biased opinion, I think he's one of the best, if not the best, route runner in the National Football League. The separation he's able to get is ridiculous, and he's a very, very good player. After that, we have Stephon Diggs, who we're going to give an 89 overall. Last season, 102 receptions, just over 1,000 yards, and 9 total touchdowns. I do think he's a little bit overrated, given the miracle at the Vikings, Minnesota Miracles, whatever they're calling it. But people keep forgetting. This used to be like the big save of my channels. I called Stephon Diggs to be really good. Way back 4 or 5 years ago when he was coming out of Maryland, he was my sleeper wide receiver that ended up going real late to the Vikings, and he's been very, very good. So from that, I've always liked Stephon Diggs. I just think he is one of the more overrated wide receivers, given the fact that he's only ever had like one career year over 1,000 yards, which was last season. That was barely. Still a really good wide receiver from a talent standpoint. He is immense, but I feel like 89 is fair. But I think like when I look at the comments, probably people are going to say, "Oh my God, how do you not have Diggs higher?" He's just slightly overrated. That doesn't mean he's not a good player. I still think he's really good and definitely one of the best 1-2 punch, maybe the best 1-2 punch, regardless of any team in the National Football League between Thielen and Diggs. At tight end, we have Kyle Rudolph. We're going to give it 84 overall. Last season, 64 catches, 600 yards, 4 total touchdowns. Really, really solid tight end, even though there was reports that they're looking at trading and maybe New England was interested. I don't know why you do that, but maybe the selection of Irv Smith Jr., who I think is a very nice tight end, top 3 in this year's draft class. Debatably, I think personally, you have Noah Fant and Hawkinson were 1 and 2, and then Irv Smith and Jay Sternberger, two now divisional rivals, I thought were like the best of the rest. But I think he will get a very nice Madden 20 rating. I think he'll be in that low 70s, but definitely 70 plus. The offensive line, we got Riley Reif, 72, just average. Pat Elflein, I think with the selection of their center in the first round, and Bradbury, they'll move Elflein to guard, where he did play a little bit of Ohio State. He's a 75. Also like the Drew Samia selection out of Oklahoma. Inside, they got Garrett Bradbury, I'm a huge fan. I thought he was the best center for quite some time before the hype train even really got rolling on him. We're going to give him a 77. I think he might have a chance of getting a star dev as well. Right guard, they got Josh Klein coming up from the Tennessee Titans, very solid offensive lineman. And at right tackle, Brian O'Neill, who had a decent rookie season. All in all, it is an improved Vikings offensive line, probably the weakest unit that they had last year that they needed to improve. And I think they did a decent job, maybe not enough to get to where the fan base wants it to be in 1 year, but they're definitely trending in the right direction. Defensively, we have Danielle Hunter. We're going to give an 89 overall. Last season, he had 14.5 sacks, 21 tackles for loss. Is he underrated? I actually feel like I could probably put him in that category of a little bit underrated. Doesn't get mentioned with the top edge rushers, though his production has been there. He's an elite athlete. I think an absolute beast for the Minnesota Vikings. His partner in crime, we have Everson Griffin. We're going to give it 85. Seems like he got his mind right. He's going to be on the field next year. Good veteran. 5.5 sacks, 5 TFLs last year. And another prime candidate, much like Dalvin Cook, as the year goes, as he gets, snaps on the field, he's going to probably go up in rating. Inside, we have Linval Joseph. I think he's one of the better nose tackles in the National Football League. He's going to get an 86 overall, really, really good against the run. Beyond that, there's just some guys that you need to try to find who's going to be his partner in crime here for the Vikings defensive line. At outside linebacker, Anthony Barr, we're going to give him an 83 overall. Got paid big money. Kind of did a, no, I don't think so for the New York Jets. Went back to the Minnesota Vikings, coming off 55 tackles, 3 sacks, 8 TFLs last season. He's a guy that I think his Madden rating is always going to be fairly high because of how good of an athlete it is. It's always going to fluctuate his rating. But I think 83 is, kind of fair. Inside, we have Eric Kendricks, who we're going to give a 79 overall. Last season, 108 tackles, 2 interceptions. He is a very solid middle linebacker. No real weaknesses. He's not an elite player, but he's very good. Always serviceable, not a weak link for the Vikings. Also, shout out to getting Cam Smith at USC. Love that pick. I usually do, over the last couple of years, tend to really, really like the Minnesota Vikings drafts. And our outside linebacker, we have Ben Gideon. We're giving him a 73 overall, just a solid linebacker. Into the secondary, Xavier Rhodes coming off maybe his worst year as a Viking. I don't know if he was banged up. I don't know exactly what was going on. He just looked a step slower. I'm going to assume maybe he wasn't at 100%. So we're going to start him out as an 85. He only had 1 interception, 7 pass breakups. And the couple Vikings games I did watch, he wasn't playing particularly well. But, for the most part, over the last, we'll take the law of averages and not just last year. Maybe look at the last 3 years. He has been one of the better corners in the National Football League. So I'm not going to punish him too much, and I'll put him at 85. Trey Wayne, 79. Mackenzie Alexander, 76. He actually had a decent year last year, the slot. Real good secondary. Plenty of options. Most of these guys outside of Xavier Rhodes are on the right side of 30. So there's lots of room to develop in your franchise modes. At free safety, we have Anthony Harris. We're going to give him a 78. The man that made it so they can let... what's his name? Sendejo go. He's now on the Eagles. I don't even know if he's going to make the roster. We're going to give him a 78. Last season, 3 interceptions and 46 tackles. At strong safety, we have Harrison Smith, who's getting a 94, which I think is the second best strong safety rating for my predictions. 3 interceptions, 6 pass breakups, 84 tackles, 3 sacks, 9 TFLs. He's arguably the best strong safety in the National Football League, so we rewarded him with a very high rating, which is just. Special teams, Ian Bailey, 76, and Matt Weil, 77. So a lot of these ratings did say the same as how they ended in Madden 19, but a couple adjustments there. And if you agree or disagree with some of the ratings you saw here today for my Madden 20 predictions for the Minnesota Vikings, let me know in the comment section below. Pound the table so that when we get the official ratings, and if you're right, I'm wrong, tag me on Twitter, and I'll give you the clout that you deserve. But until then, trust the master. Well, that does it from here today, guys. Thank you for watching. As always, your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button, smash the like button if you enjoyed. And until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.